happen.
But that's the power of reality TV making you into a star, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, my mouth is on the floor, and it takes a lot to shock me in reality TV. I'm shocked he was even paid $10,000. Shocked. I would have said 0, 0, 0, and 0 for Harry.
Yeah, well, Harry, I feel like was a big enough star, and his name came up enough that they probably felt that they could pay him. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, he did it. I don't know about Mario. I've been on a couple dates with Mario. I should have asked him, but I didn't.
Mario would be such a good match for you.
We've been on some dates. We've been on
recently.
Some dates. He's actually a great guy. No, a few years ago. We went on some dates. I met him on Bumble. He came to New York and he took me out on a date in New York. We had a great time. And then maybe 2 years later, I was down in Florida and he came to a dinner party at my house. And it was actually a great story. He kissed me goodnight by his car, and my daughter, I had put her to sleep already, and there was like 10 people in the house. And I walked him out to his car to say goodbye to him. And he kisses me and I hear a piercing scream. And it was like something out of the Exorcist movie. My daughter, who was young at the time, was standing under the light of the foyer in the house with the door open and just screamed a high-pitched scream because she saw us kissing. It wasn't like a makeout kiss. It was just like a peck, but a long peck, It was horrifying. And he jumped, I jumped, and I was like, Wyatt, what is your problem? And then she ran back in the house, and that was the last time I saw Mario.
Oh my God.
We're all talking about Mario Singer for people that don't know what we're talking about. Ramona's ex-husband.
And did Mario say, man, this would be such a trade up from that train wreck Ramona Singer?
No, he always spoke very kindly of her. And
well, guess what?
That's a sign of a nice guy.
Guess who does not speak very kindly of her? David Yontef from Behind the Velvet Rope. So we could just leave it at that. Oh my God. Nothing my listeners have not heard before. Love you, Avery. Thanks for coming on the podcast. That's a very interesting story about Mario. I would have said Harry got paid 0. So because I thought of Ovis asking him myself, like, so he's not joining the lawsuit. He just doesn't want to do it.
No. So let's make some predictions on who you think is in the lawsuit.
Do you know who also doesn't want?
Go ahead.
To join the lawsuit. I was going to say Kim D on my weekly Patreon. She has a story. I mean, she has a lot of stories, but I've known this story for years. She's told it like she was one of the ones and Teresa was going to throw the drink on her. And that's when she was like, no one's throwing a drink on me. She went to leave. She's one of many, but she's specifically, and she had a big girlfriend, and the girlfriend was like, I mean, not a girlfriend, like romantically, but her girlfriend's like, we're going to just unbolt the door. Like, we're not staying. And producers were like, they formed like a thing of like, you cannot cross, you have to go confront Teresa. So that's where it's like those situations, and this is just because I know Kim, but I know other stories too. Like you can't.
Hold on, was that forced? Did they know that Teresa was going to flip a table? And are those things pre-produced and they tell her to freak out like that?
They were setting it up for like, Kim saw the drink and she's like, no one is throwing a drink on me. You've got to be kidding me. And that's what she's like, I'm out. You're all dirty bitches. And I think she meant producers to everyone. And that's where it's like, you can't stop people from leaving somewhere. Allison Dubois, the medium from the dinner party from Beverly Hills, said on my show, when she went to that dinner party, they took her keys. They didn't take her keys because she was drinking. They also made her drink. She said, everyone knows Allison from this huge martini glass. And Allison has said, that was the glass they brought me the drink in. There was no alternative glass. This wasn't like a rest. They brought the glass, and that was the only option, an extra, extra large martini glass. She's like, they didn't take my keys because I was drinking. They took my keys because they're like, she tried to leave. And they said, the scene is not even near over. This is only beginning. You physically cannot leave. So when you get into things like this, you're like, there's a lot of things that are probably outside the norm. And that's what a lot of this paperwork suggests of like, forget what you signed. Like, you're not signing you can't be treated a certain way regardless of what you sign. That's almost goes to like a hostile workplace.
Yeah, of course. Well, that reminds me of when I was on Millionaire Matchmaker, and it was a little bit different because it was a celebrity version, and they Patty picked my suitors. She interviewed them for me, and then she helped pick the final one for me. And then they created a baseball date. Like we were at a batting cage, and then we had to go to a dinner that night. And I had nothing in common with this guy. I had no chemistry, but the way they edited it, they made it look like we were falling madly in love. Every time they would go to do the one-on-one with us and they would do production, we would shoot of us, hitting the ball, and then we'd have to do one-on-ones, and they'd tell me what to say. They would say, Rachel, you should say, all these positive things and that you're really falling for him. And it was really hot when he did this. And I was laughing with the producer at the time. I forget her name. I really liked her, actually. I was like, but I hate him. Like, there's nothing that I'm attracted to about him. And she's like, but Rachel, we're trying to edit this a certain way. Come on, get on board. And the night where that night we went to a restaurant, I can talk to a toad. I literally can talk to a frog. I could not talk to this guy. I had nothing to say to him. It was awful. And halfway through production, they pulled me aside and they said, we need you to kiss him. I said, how am I going to kiss this guy? How would that even be normal? We're not even talking about anything. And they told me how to do it, when to do it. They told me when I got up from the table, walk straight out, go to the front door, and there's cameras hidden there, and do the kiss. Well, it was so amazing the way they edited it, because I'm walking out with him. He's talking about a bunch of nonsense. And literally I turn to him as he's in the middle of a sentence and I pull him in and I kiss him, quite frankly, to shut him up. And I had seen out of the corner of my eyes all the cameramen there. You know what I mean? And by the way, this was a restaurant hustling and bustling with people eating there. So it was a little bit uncomfortable. And I pull him in and I start to kiss him. And I had warned her, I said, you're getting one kiss from me. And that's really it. And it all worked. And then the way they edited it with the music swelling and, the way we looked so good, that it all made sense that this was a great date. But I can tell you, it was completely fabricated.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and we're not knocking Patty. I have a very loyal listener. You might know her. Her name is Jill Zarin from the Real Housewives of New York. Jill is listening. This is a real true story. I love you, Jill. So Jill, we know that you're listening and we know that you're going to call Patty. Patty can listen too. We are not saying anything bad about Patty. This is not a joke, Rachel. This is real. So Jill, before you call Patty, we are not saying anything bad about Patty. We love Patty Stanger.
No, Patty's great. It was the production of it.
I know.
She wasn't even there that night. She doesn't even know what happened.
I know. Trust me. I just want to make it very clear. We love you too, Jill. So no, she's listening. I'm not joking. So, this is all what's going on. Like, listen, I think everybody is interested. Everyone is quietly saying, go Bethenny, right? Like, if you could start getting residuals, I think it's going back. Like, if you were on a show that you're not on anymore and they air it tomorrow and you could start getting something.
Yeah. Celebrity Rehab is on Amazon Prime. I think it was the best season that I was on. I would love to get residuals because I'd be promoting it all the time.
And I was on $1 Million Listing. I was on Millionaire Matchmaker. I'd like some money too. Like,